Hey, what is happening, everybody? Welcome into Create Smarter. It's been a minute. It's the end of summer. Folks are going back to school and, well, things are picking up again, that's for sure. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us today on this August 31st, 2021. We've got a great show for you lined up today with a little behind the scenes, a brand new segment, well, the reintroduction of an older segment on the show that we haven't actually had for quite some time, but we figured we'd bring it back because we're starting them back up again. And we also have just an awesome interview that we actually nailed this morning. Josh jumped on board with somebody else this morning, had a wonderful interview. We're going to be showcasing that to you. So without further ado, one of the things that we wanted to bring up today was the Power Hitter segment. So if you've been following along Five Tool Productions for a number of years now, we actually used to produce, when we first started out, we produced a segment called Power Hitters. It was basically who's who of kind of small businesses in the Massachusetts or greater Boston area, really. You know, folks that are doing something a little bit different and really being successful in their journey. Now, we are kind of rolling this back out right now. And we have a few in the can, and a few of them are going to be released over the course of the next couple of weeks. And one of them was actually just released. And if you missed it, we wanted to kind of start things off today's show by showing you that of Zadie's Market in, I believe they're technically Sharon, but it's at the Cobb's Corner, which is where Sharon, Stoughton, and Canton all meet together and to form one little corner called Cobb's Corner. So it's a really cool little market in that area, and we figured why not tell their story. Here it is on this Power Hitters.
Zadie's Market is a kosher market. So we specialize in taking care of the kosher community that surrounds our store with the 3 local towns.
Zadie's Market, actually, in my opinion, is probably a hidden jewel. It's one of those old-time stores that people come to, they gather around, they come to meet and see everybody.
When people find us, they come back over and over and over again.
People look at it as their home here.
Lisa, my wife's father, grew up in Poland, and during World War II they had to escape Poland, and they were always 5 feet in front of the Nazis who were chasing them. He came here to the United States when he was just over 18 years of age. And then Jack one day decided to go off on their own. And they built themselves a business that became an icon in the community.
When he passed away, it didn't feel quite the same to be there, so me and my husband came here and took over this store, and it just kind of felt right to name something after him that was really special to him and special to my boys. I don't think my father ever thought that I would be following in his footsteps doing this, but if he was here today, he would cheer me on 100%. So when we first started, it was really just a kosher place that only the Jewish people knew about. So when I took over, we actually even became more than just a kosher place. We became a glatt kosher place, which means we're supervised, and that allows more customers to come in, ones that need that supervision from us. But not only do we gear towards them,
We have probably 30-35% of our customers aren't even Jewish. They love everything that we have here.
and once they're in the door, people are shocked to realize a Jewish place is not quite what they thought it was really only for. And we have welcomed everybody in here.
And that's the whole story. It's a tiny, compact, dynamite place because there's so many things to see here, and everything changes on a regular basis. On a regular day, there's probably over 2,000 items in our store. And if you include all the specialty products for all the holidays, we have almost 4,000 items.
We're a store that everything that we do comes from love. We cut and grind all our own meat here. We have 5 chefs in the back that cook for us all day. They have their own specialties, and each one steps up and does what they need to. We work a lot with all the local temples. We help out, they help us. We kind of work hand in hand doing things, and it's just like a really nice community to be part of and to work with and just to share this whole experience with.
We do the pop-up dinners every Wednesday and occasionally on different days, and we try to do something different each week so the food doesn't stay the same. You know, we have a very demanding clientele who they want standard food every day, but then they want to see different food on a weekly basis. And it's just a great marriage in heaven because everybody gets what they want.
We're already in our 9th year now, and we're better today than we were then, and each day gets better and better for us, and our customers help us with that.
We built ourselves a beautiful tiny little store that offers everything to everybody, not just the Jewish community.
Love it. Everything to everybody, and that is definitely for sure. I've had the opportunity to stop by, and I probably gained about 4 pounds after leaving with some of their donuts, but it was well worth it at the end of the day. So big thanks to Jason, big thanks to the folks at Zadie's for allowing us to bring in the cameras, sit down, do the interview, and just grab some really cool shots. And if you're not hungry just yet, there's something wrong with you because you definitely need to stop by that shop. Anyway, so today's show, actually now I'm thinking about it, is really hyper-focused on local more than anything else. So we're based right here in Norwood, Massachusetts, right off Route 1, the Auto Mile is what a lot of people know it as. And just off of it, and really behind our office space is something called the Norwood Space Center. So this opened up about 5, 6, 7 years ago in that vicinity, really. It was an old warehouse that they hollowed out and turned it into a kind of a co-working space with some really cool venues and different kind of quirky businesses that are in there as well. Some great businesses, but some different ones as well. Now, one company in particular that is going to be opening up, or excuse me, a location that's opening up inside of the Norwood Space Center is the Magic Room. It's a new live music venue opening this fall, and it's pretty cool, and it kind of just fits the vibe of the Norwood Space Center as a whole. Now, our Josh Artman got a chance to sit down with Smitty, which I know I'm probably pronouncing that incorrect, but Smitty is how he goes by. And he's going to be helping the team with editing video promos, is actually going to be performing there live as well. So we figured let's take a peek and get a good idea as to what's going on in the Magic Room itself. And is it just in person or is it virtual? How's it going to work? Go ahead, let's take a listen.
3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
So great to be joined by our guest this week, Mr. Smitty. Thank you so much for coming on Create Smarter. Really looking forward to talking with you about sort of the local Norwood art scene and music scene and video production and everything in between. So Smitty, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so very much, Josh. It's very much an honor and a privilege to be talking with you today. So many great things going on with the Magic Room. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. Starting off here, would just like to know a little bit more about what Magic Room is feel like I could maybe do a bit of an explanation, but it's probably better in your hands than mine. So take it away.
Well, so the Magic Room is the brainchild of William Des Desmond. And in addition to being the lead person in the band, the Bentmen, he also is the proprietor of all the Sound Museum rehearsal rooms in the Boston area. And he has had live venues in the past, but he found this beautiful location in Norwood, Massachusetts, in the Norwood Space Center. And going back to 2019, he started working on the venue, and I'll get into what he's done with it. But in the middle of while he was putting this new venue together, of course, we all got hit with the pandemic, and he had to put it on hold for a little while. Well, he got back on it in the spring, and now he's ready to go public and start inviting people to come on down and enjoy the Magic Room. The beautiful thing about it, I would guess in terms of the size of the venue, it might be similar to like the upstairs of the Middle East in Cambridge, but the interior couldn't be more different. It really, Des has always had a incredibly unique style to his art and his performances. It does have a little bit of a theater of the bizarre kind of feel to it, in that there's all these antique masks and puppets and artwork that he's been collecting over his lifetime. I've been playing in the Boston music scene since 1985. I truly do not believe that there is a single music venue in the Boston area that is equal to what the Magic Room is going to be when it finally opens up.
Well, there you have it. No, that was great. And, we here at Five Tool, we're big fans of producing things in Norwood ourselves. And one thing, I've been looking at some of the promotional videos that you've created, and just looking at videos of the Magic Room in general. One thing that really strikes me, sort of what you were saying, is just how impressive visually it all is in terms of the lights. There's a couple of TV screens with stuff up on them. And then, of course, the whole thing's being live streamed over to Twitch as well. So, I mean, this might be more of a question for Des and his team, but do you know if live streaming was always a part of the Magic Room plan, or has that been something that's sort of come about more because of the world we live in these days?
You know, I'm not a betting guy, but I would bet on the latter. I mean, who knows if that was his original concept to do live streaming. It does bizarrely work out that I am a fan of streaming live shows that people go to, much in the same way that people go to sporting events that are also on television. People are always going to want that upfront, in-your-face experience for the live experience, but there's, not everybody can get to a show, and it's like, you know what, stream it. It's something. It's not the same as being there. So it does fit in with my personal philosophy, but I think Des and Casey, his daughter, who's mostly in charge of that, this came about because of the pandemic we're all, going through. But I think it works out either way.
Well, that's incredible, Smitty. You almost sort of said our pitch to people verbatim. Tyler here is always talking about, hybrid events, talks about NFL games. They're both in person, but also televised at home. It's not like at home you're just watching the Jumbotron feed for a couple hours. So your personal philosophy is right in line with ours. So that's really funny.
Well, I had a friend who experimented with this a number of years ago, and it worked beautifully. Given the opportunity, I mean, even in the big rooms, big rooms for local music, you're talking like 200, 300, 400 people. Those people still want to go to the live experience, but there are literally thousands of other people, thousands, who can't make it to the show for one reason or another, and you want to include them in the party, in the experience. And from I could tell, and from the experience of my friend, it did not distract or take away from people going to the show one little bit. If anything, it made it so once people saw it one time, they were more hungry to go to that event or venue the next time something happened. So just like television, with sporting events, you see a sporting game on TV, and it's like you just want to go to the game.
So I think you had mentioned you're doing a lot of help with the promotional videos for the Magic Room, but I also know you're playing with a couple of different bands coming up in these next few months.
The first big event that he's doing there at the Magic Room is called Brand X. And they are a world-renowned progressive fusion band that goes way back to the 70s with the founder and guitarist John Goodsall. And I had to do a promotion video for that, and I got a bunch of their music. And if you are a prog rock fan, this is the guy. He is just an amazing person. That's happening on Saturday, September 30th at the Magic Room. Then the next one, I'm very proud to announce that my band, Smitty and the Fez Tones, along with Gene Dante and the Future Starlets, who will be doing their record release show for DULX, will be happening at the Magic Room on Saturday, October 16th. Then after that, they're doing a Halloween show at the Magic Room with Gary Lucas. And Gary Lucas has performed with Captain Beefheart and the band Gods and Monsters. And he's doing a live performance to the famous 1915 silent horror film Gollum. Last but not least, going to Friday, November 5th, Shake the Faith. Remember, I don't know if you might be too young to remember Shake the Faith. They were a big band in Boston in the 80s, and they will be doing a get-together on Friday, November 5th. And my other band that I played drums in, Little Billy Lost, will be opening up for Shake the Faith.
Sounds like there's a lot of great stuff at Magic Room coming up, both this fall and I'm sure long into the future. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to share the good word with us here. And personally, I'm looking forward to coming out for a show as well. So thanks so much. Lastly, Smitty, we always like to end our Create Smarter interviews just by putting our guests on the spot and asking them, how do you create smarter?
I create smart by respecting the people who are going to watch, view, listen, and experience whatever it is I'm trying to share. I try to treat my audience like they are smart. I don't worry about people who don't get things. And so I go for the smart. Smart is where the art is.
Putting the art in smart. Love that. Smitty, working in Magic Room at Norwood, the music, art, and theater venue located at 83 Moore Street in the Norwood Space Center.
Norwood Space Center, yes.
Yes, well, thank you so much. Can't wait to check it out, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so very much, Josh. I really do appreciate this. Thank you.
Well, that's it for our guest interview segment. So now, back over to you, Tyler.
Love it, Josh. And love Smitty, like literally every single thing he said. I was like, yep, spot on. He was awesome. That was a great guest. And it reminded me of a good friend of mine was posting on Facebook the other day, was talking about 311 and how they're performing in Boston. He happens to live out in the Illinois area. I don't know exactly where in Illinois, but he mentioned the fact that they're streaming all of their events. And that's the beauty of it. He's able to get to see one of his favorite bands perform live, even though he can't be there in person as much as he would love to be. But as Smitty just said, might be 300, 400 people that are able to go to that show, but there are thousands of people all over the world that would still love to tune in because kind of music is that soundtrack of our lives, really. So he loves that. So to me, everything he just said right there was just spot on. I love that interview, really did. So great job, Josh, and really appreciate Smitty taking time out of his day to jump on the show. And again, 83 Moore Street at the Norwood Space Center. Definitely have to take a look at the Magic Room. All right, but we're going to move on. And we always love on the show to kind of take you behind the scenes, show you some of the things that we've been working on here at 5Tool. Now, just a few weeks ago, we had the opportunity to produce just a wonderful event called the National Anti-Racism Teach-In. It was actually being hosted directly from this set right here. It looked a little bit different with some of the speakers that were joining us remotely. We had all of their books kind of gracing the bookshelves behind us, and we had the big giant NARTI, National Anti-Racism Teach-In logo, located directly behind the host. It was a call it really a 4-day event, actually, a Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the middle of August, and it turned out to be just a fantastic event. So we figured, why not kind of give you a little behind-the-scenes look at what it went into producing the entire show.
Hi, Connor.
Hey,
Day one of Nerdy. How we feeling?
like $1 million.
Really? At 8:30 in the morning?
Never felt better.
Okay. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Marissa.
What's up? How's Nerdy going?
Not much. We're got about 8 minutes left in our yoga session for day 1/teen experience. But yeah, so far so good. Talk to me again a week from today, but looking forward to it.
Lots of days. So we had 4 days non-stop, basically from the time we walked in the door, which was about 6 a.m. to the time we wrapped up, which is about 5:30. We were live streaming content non-stop. So what was cool about it was the fact that we were streaming so much. It's probably the most we've streamed in a 4-day span. But man, tired. It was interesting. That was a day those were days that were exhausting but energizing all in the same breath. I don't know how that's possible, but we walked out of the office feeling accomplished, but also just dead tired. But it turned out to be just a wonderful event, and the reception from the audience was nothing but fantastic. So kudos to all those involved. Basically, the entire 5-Tool team really helped out and pitched in one way or another throughout the course of the week. And the team that was producing or putting on the content itself from the National Anti-Racism Teach-In just did a phenomenal job of piecing everything together. It really was a great one. But we want to move on, and one of the things that we always like to include in the show is the news. So what's going on in the industry? What are some of the things that, the entire team can really rant and rave about? And that's what today's news is really all about. Just a few rants and raves from the course of the last 2 weeks, whether it was about Facebook or it was about TikTok and some of their most ridiculous challenges that are taking place with milk crates right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the news.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Create Smarter News. I'm your host this week, Connor, and I'm joined by a very special guest, my favorite network connection, Marissa.
Oh, thank you, Connor.
How you doing,
for the
Marissa?
intro. I am great. How are you?
I'm doing dandy. It's rare we see you on these.
It is rare. I don't like stepping in front of the camera, but
hey, here at
doing
5-Tool,
this.
we're all about pushing boundaries and getting over our fears. So
Yes.
And speaking of that, you actually picked the topic for this week. So why don't you go ahead and introduce what we'll be talking about today?
Thank you for the great toss. Today we are talking about how TikTok has banned the milk crate challenge. They think that they don't want to glorify any dangerous acts, I believe is how they put it. So they are removing any search results for anything with the hashtag Milk Crate Challenge. I don't know how else they're going to regulate that, but that's how they're going to start out. So Connor, unfortunately, we cannot go get some milk crates and do some TikToks in the parking lot today.
Dang it.
Sorry about that.
Better call the local hood bottle and get all those back.
Yes.
Yeah, so that brings up, kind of a couple things. So first, Milk Crate Challenge kind of popped out of nowhere. There's no reason for it. It's one of those trends that just you assume is going to come and go. Don't know how it started, don't know where it started.
I don't either.
But suddenly, it's everywhere, as you can see.
Where are people getting these milk crates?
That's a great question.
I don't know. Where does one go to buy a milk crate? I guess now you're not going to be able to.
We should have invested in milk crates way earlier.
Should have, I guess.
So, then you get into kind of like you were saying about the dangerous kind of, it promotes violence and stuff. So TikTok, just like many other platforms, they have their guidelines, they have their safety protocols. And so they, the TikTok people saw this and said, oh man, people are really hurting themselves doing this viral challenge. Maybe we should, go away from that and tell them to not to. So like you said, they're banning kind of the mention of the word, the hashtag, kind of not allowing people to find out or find these videos, search out these videos. But we were talking earlier, how else could they possibly, find this kind of content? Like how in a TikTok, an app such as TikTok that has so many videos coming out every day on small accounts as well that just pop up getting viral, how else could they, search these videos and kind of get rid of them to get them out of the public spotlight?
That is a good question, because I guess you could work around it by just not including the hashtag. I don't know if they're going to do some sort of visual cue of, if you see a milk crate, they, have somebody take it out. I don't know how that works. I don't know how they're going to assign certain people on their team to filter that stuff out. I don't really know how one goes about doing that, but I guess they're cracking down on it more because obviously hospitals are kind of a little overrun with patients from COVID. So that's, I think, a big part of why TikTok is actually enforcing their rule about not glorifying any dangerous acts, opposed to doing stupid things on TikTok like people can do all the time, but like the Tide Pod challenge is how TikTok started out. And they never really enforced that. Obviously that was pretty dangerous. People were getting hurt and could die. But now they're saying nope, because hospitals are already busy. They don't have time for you when you get hurt doing stupid things. So I know why they're doing it. I don't know how they're going to regulate it though.
But you bring up a good point there with the Tide Pod challenge, because like things on the internet trends, this is nothing new. We've seen this before with the cinnamon challenge, the Tide Pod challenge. Now this thing where people voluntarily do these dangerous and stupid acts just for views and clicks and likes. And I get it. If I was that good at climbing milk crates, I would do it as well. But just for a couple follows and likes, it's not really worth it, especially breaking your back like that. But we've seen this before. Like I was saying, trends come and go. They'll stay for a little while. They'll get popular. Then they'll leave. But kind of looking at it from a marketer's perspective, what could we learn from this? What can we take from this experience of this crazy trend that now they're trying to sweep under the rug here?
Just because it's a trend doesn't mean you jump on it. It could still make you look pretty bad from a business side of things and a marketing standpoint. If you're falling off milk crates and getting hurt, that's not really the visual that you want people to remember about your brand. So some trends might not be worth jumping on. I don't think we could do it. I think that's probably a bad idea. I don't know how you turn that into a video production thing. But it just means that, just because other people are, as my dad would say, just, if somebody's jumping off a bridge, are you going to do that too?
Right.
No.
Just because someone else is climbing a mountain of milk crates, are you going to go up there too?
No,
Probably
I don't think
not.
so.
So just at the end of the day, we got to remember that not every trend is something you should hop on. That's for creators and for companies, brands, I would say. We were talking earlier, if before this weekend, it was a funny little challenge. I was laughing about it. So Hood, the milk company, could have jumped right on there, and that's right up their alley, you would assume. But within the weekend, now it became this kind of controversial. You'll get banned from TikTok if you did something. So, it's it's a little bit of a minefield for marketers and brands at the moment with any trend, because you never know what could happen in a couple days.
What is happening, everybody? Tyler, Phil, 5 Tool Productions, welcome in. This is Create Smarter News. Hey, you do have the shirt on.
Branding.
We kind of, and I've got a baseball shirt, so we kind of look like we're, our uniforms in a sense.
This is the uniform.
Yep.
Everyone in the office has to wear one of these two things.
All right, I'll go buy a bunch more of these.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that will do it for today's show. No, just kidding. Welcome in. This is Create Smarter News. This is actually the first time in a long time that Phil and I are on this together.
I've
missed you too. We were just saying beforehand that we
don't spend any
time
together.
No. Not at all. We've been basically every waking minute with one another, which is really just lovely. No, only kidding. No, this is a great time. But no, today what we want to do is we want to have a discussion all about Facebook. So we're not going to dive into too many topics in particular. It's just one, and that is Facebook's release of their Q2 results for top content.
Yes.
So if you haven't been paying attention, which you probably haven't to something like this, but basically Facebook every quarter releases, their big focus on transparency. They're trying to tell you what has the most likes, what has the most reach, the most views, what content is doing well, what content isn't doing so great. Well, they don't really focus on that, but it's just what does well.
Raw numbers.
And what we've seen more than anything is probably one of the funniest, most laughable things about Facebook that I've ever seen before. And it's basically all those foolish little, I don't know what you would actually call them.
Kind of comment farms more than anything.
Exactly.
It's the text over like a image background, right?
Exactly. So when you go to type in, a question, right? Like, you're from the 80s when, or you knew you grew up in Massachusetts when, whatever it may be. And it just happens to be a color or an image behind it. And that was really the top 10 posts. And that was top 20. I'm sorry, you're right. Top 20 posts. Yeah. They had links from most of them. A lot of them were radio stations, what we saw, some radio stations. But we also saw some random kind of fan pages and individual pages as well.
Right.
The reason why they went crazy, I have no idea, to be completely honest with you. And who fills them out? Apparently a lot of people.
Millions.
Yeah, million. I mean, we're talking millions upon millions of people for their actual reach. Not just their comments, was like 1 million comments on some people. Yeah. And there was one that stood out to both you and I. It had the most popular link, and it was from a former Green Bay Packers kicker from, I think it was the early 90s. Yeah. And his post was pretty simple, post an older TV show that today's kids probably never heard of. Right? You see these kind of dumb things all the time on Facebook.
Probably if you go on Facebook, at least one of these is going to come across.
Someone in, your crazy aunt is filling them out, right? And that's what seems to be the people that are filling it out. But what was really interesting was that he didn't necessarily have a massive following. Right. It just all of a sudden somehow caught and spread like wildfire.
The right people are tagged, and the right people comment, and the right people interact, and the new-ish Facebook algorithm is designed to focus on like real human interactions, right? Which obviously, when the robots see comments, that's human interaction. Yeah. That's like the biggest way you can raise your hand and say, I care about this, is commenting on it, right? Or sharing it. But like a comment is a big signal to Facebook that this post is important enough for me to write something, right, about this post. So when you get a lot of people doing that, it snowballs and more people see it, and more
people are sharing, and they're commenting with their friends, and they're starting those meaningful conversations about TV shows from the 80s.
Which obviously is not a super meaningful conversation, but I mean, it is kind of intentional or not, it's gaming the Facebook algorithm to get a ton of people to see and comment on this
What's really
post.
Interesting too is that I remember,
God, I just fell over.
I would have loved that.
I'm not used to these chairs.
But you just get working the course.
I know.
But one of the things that I kind of laugh at is a few years ago, Facebook actually came out and said directly, do not ask for comments, right? Don't actively ask for comments or ask people to share. These posts essentially do that. When you go through all of them, you're asking people
comment farms.
Comment. Ask this. Tell me this.
But they're not physically writing. They're not comment below.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below what this is. Right. Like they're not saying that, but they kind of are in a sense.
Right. And I think.
But to your point, the bots aren't seeing that and searching out and saying, "Ugh, we gotta bury this." No, they're just saying this is a great post. People love it.
On the one hand, you look at it and you're like, "This is low quality." Right. It's not high quality content. When you think about as a brand producing high quality content, that type of post is probably not what comes to mind first and foremost.
No.
So on one hand, you look at it and you're like, it's low quality. It's not good content. It's kind of garbage. It's low effort. But on the other hand, it's like, well, what can you say? Like, people obviously like it. So
clearly.
What is quality content on Facebook? Is it just stuff that the masses actually like? It's kind of a hard conversation to have, because it's like, if you're posting as a brand and you're actually trying to get people to care about what you do and your mission. We work with a lot of nonprofits. Yep. You're a mission-driven organization. You want people to know about the great work you do to help people. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind isn't like a silly, mass post about what you're a TV show people might not have heard of. But like, the proof is in the pudding a little bit, in that like, okay, at least a large number of people seem to like it.
Awesome. Great stuff. Big thanks to Marissa and Connor for having Create Smarter News yesterday, and for Phil for, basically just messing around with me for about 10 minutes a week ago, which is awesome. I always like to listen back to it, but great conversations all the way around. So good stuff on today's show. I actually, I kind of want to go back and listen to Smitty's interview again. I want to take some sound bites from what he had to say, because that was just seriously awesome. So anyways, that'll do it for us today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I always appreciate it. I'm not speaking English right now, apparently. But no, thank you all for tuning in. Really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to do so on a Tuesday afternoon, or really whenever you happen to be watching this. I'm Tyler for the folks out back. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.